Hey folks, I've got Paul Grewal with me, who's the Chief Legal Officer at Coinbase. Paul, great to see you.
Great to see you, Tony.
Paul, we've spoken many times over the years, through some rough times in the crypto industry.
Very rough, if I remember.
Lots of lawsuits and Wells notices and all of that. How are you feeling about how things have changed? It's like a complete 180.
Yeah, we're in a very different world right now, Tony. I mean, it wasn't that long ago where I think there were serious questions about whether crypto had a future in America. And now we're talking about what future we can make for ourselves and for our customers and for the wider world. And that's just a much more inspiring way to live.
So the biggest change seems to have come from the SEC. What are your thoughts on all the roundtables and all the things they've been doing?
Well, I think you're exactly right that while a lot of people have been quite reasonably focused on legislation on the Hill, dealing with stablecoins and market structure, in many ways, the greatest action that's happening right now is over at the Securities and Exchange Commission. I give a lot of credit to Mark Ueda serving as acting chair, and of course Hester Peirce as the chair of the Crypto Task Force. But the current chair, the permanent chair, Paul Atkins, has really jumped in with both feet also to push the pace on innovation in crypto regulation at the SEC. And I think through the dialogue of the roundtables and private consultations, you're seeing the commission really grab the mantle with both hands and really try to push the industry forward as much as the industry begging for clear rules as we have in the past.
Absolutely. And it's the fact that they're doing this ahead of Congress actually passing legislation is really great. And I love the transparency with the roundtables and just honest conversations.
Well, it's amazing, right? Not long ago, many of us couldn't even get an audience at the SEC. And now you're seeing the commission post publicly who they're meeting with, on what topics, when. And of course, the roundtables themselves, I think, are bringing together a wide range of voices on so many important crypto topics, including voices that are quite skeptical of crypto. And I think that's a healthy thing, too.
Absolutely. Great to have both sides of the coin, so to speak, speaking about this. Has your job gotten easier, now that things have changed?
I don't know if it's gotten easier, Tony. I will say it has certainly gotten better in that, for a number of years, it was really about preservation and survival. And, we're quite proud of the success we had in beating back the SEC court case, as well as successfully prosecuting our own case against the SEC. A lot of people forget that Coinbase sued the SEC, challenging its refusal to issue sensible rules, and a circuit court agreed with us and ordered the SEC to explain itself. But litigation is always the last resort and almost always the worst resort for getting to clarity and certainty. I'd much rather be having a productive conversation about rules and ideally legislation, and that's what's happening right now.
So on that note, Coinbase has been a leader in pushing the envelope to get clarity from these different agencies. Are there any lingering lawsuits or litigation that is going on right now for you guys?
Well, there are lawsuits that remain pending. I like to remind people that in our case that we brought against the SEC remains under court order to explain its earlier refusal. We also have litigation against the commission based on our FOIA requests. These were requests for information that we filed with the commission, essentially asking them to produce the documents to explain why, for example, they were considering ETH as a security at the same time as they were approving the ETFs and then taking the position that it wasn't a security, even though it was prosecuting the claims against us and many others. So the FOIA cases remain. And of course, we have other active litigation with other federal agencies. But the bulk of our energy right now is being spent on how do we get to sensible rules for crypto at the SEC and get legislation passed that will resolve some of these questions once and for all.
This may be a hard question, but let's say the market structure bill that Congress is working on, do you think that adds to the Howie Test or creates a new test for digital assets?
Well, I think that what new legislation will do is end the confusion that has reigned for too long about what is or is not a securities transaction when it comes to digital assets. The original 1933 and 34 acts were comprehensive and forward-looking, but no one could have imagined something like a blockchain or a blockchain transaction. And so it was a bit, frankly, silly to take existing Supreme Court precedents interpreting that law and try to apply them to this modern technology. So I think that we're going to finally move past debates that lawyers like me love about what a Howie Test means in the context of crypto and digital assets, and Congress was going to give us the answer, and I think that's a much better way to go.
Now I know, look, All much respect to Congress. They've got their plate full. So are you and the folks at Coinbase engaging with them to make sure they get these bills right, that it's balanced?
We are. No, I give a lot of credit to both Democrats and Republicans on the Hill that are working hard to get sensible standards enacted on stablecoins and on market structure. They've done a very good job, I think, in soliciting input from across the industry, and again, frankly, from other interests that are quite hostile to the industry. We don't pretend to have a monopoly on wisdom inside of crypto, but we do think it's important that there be a consensus around what should issuer disclosures look like, where is the right place for spot market authority at the federal government level, and how can industry participants as well as investors have confidence that these markets will function as they are understood. I think legislation goes a long distance to resolving some of those open questions, and the members of Congress, both in the House and the Senate, I think have welcomed input on those questions.
That's really great to hear. So are you optimistic those bills make it through this year and become law?
I am. I do think that we're going to see stablecoin legislation pass very, very soon. The Genius Act may pass the Senate as early as this week. And I don't think market structure is going to be left behind. I know there are some who question whether it makes good sense to do this as one comprehensive package or to break it up into two. I'm hopeful that Congress will see, a great deal of wisdom in getting this job done as quickly as possible through one piece of legislation. But whether it's in one bill or two, I think we're going to see it pass this year, and I think we're going to see clarity and certainty finally come to this market.
That's exciting. I can't wait.
You and me both.
Yeah. I feel like there's going to be an economic boom, innovation, and much more jobs created and new businesses.
I mean, think about it this way, Tony. Look at what this industry has been able to achieve without the support of the U.S. government and in the face of intense hostility from the U.S. government. I think if we can resolve some of that hostility through legislation and rulemaking, we've only begun to see the innovation in this country flourish.
Absolutely. Final question here before I wrap it up. We're both basketball fans.
Huge.
We've talked about this.
We both suffered at the hands of Halliburton. That's for sure.
Both our teams, Knicks and Cavs, went home. Who are you rooting for to win the NBA Finals?
So this is always the age-old question. When a team schools your team, do you root for them or against them? And in my case, I'm rooting for the Pacers. I just respect what they've been able to pull together in this amazing playoff run. And while I have a lot of respect for OKC, I think this is Indiana's time.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the underdogs, and likewise, they beat my Knicks, so I got to root for them.
Well, see, they've achieved one thing, Tony, I never thought possible. They brought you and me together on basketball.
Yeah. Well, hopefully your Cavs and my Knicks meet in the conference finals next year.
It's a date. It's an absolute date.
Paul, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.